Hitler, as is known, wanted to be an artist. Not even the severest canings could deter his ambition. My father refused to abandon his never, and I responded in kind, Hitler wrote in Mein Kampf. Hitler emerged from one thrashing, proudly telling his mother, "Father beat me 32 times." On another occasion, Hitler was beaten unconscious. His mother dragged him to safety despite her husband's unrelenting blows. Hitler had almost the same childhood as I did, Goebbels wrote in his diary. The father a tyrant, the mother a source of goodness and love. Hitler's artistic ambition eventually flagged, then failed, but his tenacity, whether inherited or beaten into him by his father, remained as blinkered and unrelenting as ever. Following his failed bid for the Reich presidency in April 1932, Hitler went to court to have the election results annulled. Hitler to contest validity of election, the New York Times announced in a headline. The court dismissed the Hitler suit. Observing that Hindenburg had beaten Hitler by 5,941,582 votes, the court upheld the election results, ruling that the disparity was so significant that it would make no sense for a national recount of the ballots. Hitler nevertheless declared victory, noting that his party had gained 2 million votes at the polls. That is a feat that has never been equalled, and I have done this despite the unconstitutional ban placed on my broadcasting election appeals, Hitler said, denouncing the flood of lies and slanders spread about me in the election campaign of the 10 parties opposed to my candidature. Hitler looked ahead to the next Reichstag elections with equally fierce determination in his effort to destroy democracy through democratic process. Echoing Georges-Jacques Danton's revolutionary call for unrestrained and audacious action, l'audace, encore l'audace, toujours l'audace, that preceded and precipitated the first bloodshed of the Great Terror in France, Hitler offered his own triadic call to arms against his country's constitutional republic. I shall continue as I have begun. I shall attack, attack, and attack again. For 13 years, since his first encounter with a handful of men in the backroom of a Munich beer hall in September 1919, Hitler had been driven by a single ambition: to destroy the political system that he held responsible for the myriad ills plaguing the German people. He vowed revenge on the politicians who stabbed the frontline soldiers in the back with the armistice, on the traitors who signed the Treaty of Versailles, saddling the German people with war guilt and crushing reparation payments. He said heads will roll. He vowed to dismantle the multi-party political system that, he claimed, had fractured and polarized the German nation, pitting individual against individual, city against the countryside, labourers against factory workers, Bavaria against Prussia, Catholics against Protestants, and Protestants against Catholics, as he said that July, in advance of the Reichstag elections. Hitler's words are preserved on a 2-disc recording titled Appeal to the Nation. Hitler speaks with his distinctive cadence and stridency, but in a notably moderated tone. There is no ranting, no raving, no storms of applause, no Sieg Heil choruses. One can hear, through the hissing and occasional snap of the shellac discs, traces of Bavarian and Austrian inflections. The R's are rolled, and the T's are softer than the crisper, clipped consonants in the north. It is the sound of Hitler positioning himself as a political leader rather than as a revolutionary. As suggested by the Brown record label, emblazoned with a swastika that spins into blur at 78 revolutions per minute, this is an appeal, not a tirade. Harry Kessler, the son of a Hamburg banker and a British aristocrat, was a former diplomat, a pedestrian in national politics and peripatetic in lifestyle, Berlin, London, Paris, Cannes, who was one of the era's most astute observers of contemporary politics. While many observers saw Hitler as indecisive, fanatic, and occasionally unhinged,